And I call the member for Wollondilly.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. We've been hearing lately from the government on their plans to roll out development in the state. The argument of up or out, or is it both, or is it a simplistic one? And that's fine for upcoming developments, but it does little for our outer regions and the greenfield developments. Councils are being asked to do their share, but what exactly is their share? Development in Wollondilly and what is proposed in Southern Highlands is not on the private or small owners. It is huge, large development areas that was previously from rural areas and more recently land banked. These developments change the face of our electorate. Sure, we've been rural, which is why people move to the area, but the people that have lived here now for decades understand that this area has limited services and we are at capacity with the existing populations that we have. Meanwhile, there is a housing crisis. A crisis not only of stock, but one of the price of homes for our young people. Generations ago, it was possible to have a home on a single income, a dream long gone for our children. Now we have large development areas and the developers are bulldozing everything. Trees and even hills are flattened. But what are we being left with? We're left with houses and roads, with pocket parks at best. We're told the population is to come before the infrastructure will be in place. But they are moving in today. We have new developments approved right across the electorate, now even on top of partially completed ones. The infrastructure is at capacity or even missing. I challenge anyone to see what a 30-minute travel time means to the people of the new areas to find employment or to deliver a child to a high school. People are there now. People are being sold a dream of an affordable house with schools and health and facilities, but we can't even assure them adequate water. Try to have a shower now at Appin, where the water is now dripping to a trickle. In Wilton, you have wastewater being trucked out as there is no sewer treatment plant. And this is all in the middle of a catchment zone. Well, we are willing to do our share, but only if planning is done differently and not create terrible community outcomes. While the government talks about fast planning approvals, to do so we need the ministers and the departments, which all working in silos, to open their doors and to discuss things. We need to plan. We need the ministers to sit together with the departments and see where people are going to live and what infrastructure is needed. We need lines on maps for things like school, transport, health and facilities, as well as providing for the community that we have at the moment that we can't actually accommodate currently. Are there possible alternatives? Yes. While this demonstrates the issues with the large greenfield developments and the developers that are coming in, what about the people who live on 5, 10, 20 or even 100 acres? We talk about infill in the city, but what about those rural people who've been asking for just 1 or 2 extra houses? Maybe to have their children or elderly parents, or even to sell off to another family wanting to share our beautiful area. There are already roads, many need upgrading, we have power, water already, and we have some jobs, and it would benefit our existing villages. This would make some of the primary producers more sustainable. It will have less effect on the fauna that is destroyed by huge developments where all the trees are removed to a desert. Why not some infill in the peri-urban areas? While I appreciate that this government has recognised the need for investment in developing Western Sydney and committed to the delivery date of 2026 for the Western Sydney International Airport, there remains an unanswered question about restrictions of the State Environmental Planning Policy 2021. Now that we have the new airport flights released and the budget allocation for transport and infrastructure in place, I see no reasons for stopping Wollondilly residents from building secondary dwellings on their properties. Infill housing and secondary dwellings represent an untapped source of housing for people in this great time of need, and someone living in a house on 10-acre property should not be restricted from building a granny flat because of a current SEP. The SEP restrictions regarding secondary dwellings or small subdivisions by mums and dads need to be lifted, giving the same opportunity for individual residents as those granted for the big developers who are profiting from the restrictions placed unfairly on the private small landholders. So where to from here? Why not a round table to do planning better, to do it differently? And I look forward to working with the government to fix this mess. And let's think outside the system, the current system that's not delivering a good outcome for the Wollondilly community, and we can house more people, but let's do it better.
I thank the member for Wollondilly.